Welcome. Welcome to the locker. As you can see, it is just me right now. I thought I sent a tweet out, but it doesn't look like it has gone out. We are going to be blessed tonight with Michelle Golf-A-Lot. She is in the waiting room right now. Let me get her on. So again, my man Ant is going to be out tonight. Michelle can hear me. He's coming. So we are gonna have the great, the incomparable, the best of the podcast with my man Jay Hayes. She sets him straight. She makes him toe the line. Michelle, how you doing?
Hey Van, I'm doing great. How about you?
I am doing excellent, and I'm doing really better tonight because you can hear me now. Unlike the other day, you know what? We don't talk about the past. The past is an opportunity to get better. And I was ready tonight more than I was on Tuesday. So we are here to talk about, and you know what? I know what I'm just going to toss you a lob. We might be able to talk about this for the next hour and a half.
I mean, since we did so much pre-show planning between the two of us. But yeah, I hadn't heard anything by 6 o'clock, so I thought, they got somebody else, no big deal. And I had to pick my daughter up in Lexington. I just got home. Like, message.
Yeah, here's the bad part about it. The bad part about it is Anthony pinged me early this morning, like at 6, saying that he won't be able to make it. The problem was I had a meeting right after that, and I've been in meetings all day, and I just forgot, just slipped my mind. I'm like, oh, snap, I forgot to ping Michelle about, can she jump on?
Apparently, I don't have much of a life because I got, 22 minutes notice, right?
Hey, you always on call. You are the person who can always come on, and you always got our back. I appreciate it. So let's begin with this because you are more in tune with men's basketball than I am.
Okay.
Big news today. Keon Brooks gonna be at a camp. Let Big Blue Nation drink all the Kool-Aid that you're about to serve up, because that means a lot, right?
I think it means a whole lot. It's not surprising to me because I said I got the feeling after they had the vigil for Terrence Clark. Something about how Keon went out and he kind of was of that, organizing that vigil, and the way he spoke that night, I was like, he's not going to want. I think he sees he has and starting out last year, a little bit longer than he liked, he was going to be the leader of that team, and he may have been very well in the locker room, at practice, whatever, but not being able to come forward, especially early season losses. I am firmly convinced that had he been able to play from day one, I think we had another 8 to 10 because we early game would have been confident that Keon would have been able to demonstrate this is what you've got to do, how hard you have to play, and like I said, that losing a couple of heartbreakers early. Kansas game, for instance, that was kind of early, and right in that, there's just like one sequence, and the game was gone. And when you have a really young team, that plays head games with you.
Right.
We did everything right, and we just one play, we lose the game.
So you telling me that Keon Brooks had more to do with the beginning of the season than Dante Allen?
Oh yeah.
I'm just.
See, the whole thing about Dante, bless his heart, funny, good kid.
Yes.
But until the day he decides to really commit to playing defense, there's other people that can and should leapfrog you for minutes. Because if you're going to get lost on defense and give up 3 wide open threes in a series of 4 different plays back and forth, you score 3 and you give up 12. Why are you on the floor?
See, I'm gonna even expound on that a little bit. I'm not so disappointed about his defense. I'm disappointed about his shooting. And I'm not even talking the makes and miss. I'm talking about if my identity and my role is to throw the ball in the ocean. And if I get the ball, and we know this is not high school where you're going to be wide open to get a shot. If I got space, I am shooting it. That is what I'm on the court to do. Like you said, if I know I'm not a very good defensive player, when I get that ball, I am ready to shoot every time. It is no like, ooh, let me not. I'm not quite. No.
I don't want to be a ball.
Right. No. Don't get out of that. Your job is to freak, as my man Kobe Bryant said, I'm a shooting guard. I'm supposed to shoot. So let me shoot. He should be shooting. And that's the part that bothered me.
And that was, that seemed to be his first game that he just got was Mississippi State. Just 24 points, something like that. And everybody's going, see, you should have been playing him all year, Cal. Should have been playing him all year. Well, then they play him more, and then what happens? 3 points, 5 points, 3 points. Doesn't have another breakout game until Mississippi State. So apparently, Dante Allen is who you start when we play Mississippi State. That one will give him. He's got their number. They said he sure won't do that a second time. Well, he sure did. But like I said, I got nothing against him, but you pointed that out exactly. And what he did after that first game, and everybody's going, yeah, buddy, see, Cal was stupid. We were smarter than Cal. And he started hesitating. And some of those times he had wide open shots. It was high school. And sorry, my cat's about ready to get in trouble here.
Oh, that's all good. Let the cat join the locker room. We all good. We like pets in here. As long as it doesn't pee on the carpet, we all good.
He likes to get on my desk and start knocking things off. And one day we were doing Rockin' Kentucky Blue, and he came up and he turned off my router.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's like oops. So I had to dial back in and do the rest by phone because it takes so long to reset all the equipment. So we don't let him on the desk anymore.
So while we talk about basketball, because I don't like talking about men's basketball because a lot of people do already. Do you think Mintz is coming back? Since you knew Brooks was coming back, are we going to get probably one of the loaded backcourts in the history? Well, I'm going to say history. I'm over.
You might be exaggerating this.
Just a little bit. The most loaded backcourt in recent history.
Mintz has been a tough one for me to read ever since the season ended. I see now my buddy Jay, well, he doesn't have anything to prove. Well, I'm not saying he's got anything to prove, but I'm saying if he were to come back and he had the starting role from day one, which he did not this season, and he, of course, with a much more complete starting or supporting cast, because it wasn't that we didn't have great players last year. We had certain roles that were not filled. There was little holes in the boat, and we didn't have the little plugs, and we didn't have a bucket big enough to bail all the water out that we were taking on. I think Mintz is definitely, he's giving it serious pause, because if he was really ready to go and test it, we would have already heard him, hey, going to test out the waters, see what's happening. I mean, we would have. I think we would have heard that like from day one instead of you wait. I can't get a real good handle. I guess it's going to come down to what his feedback is.
Right. Obviously, I'm glad Jay Hayes is not on for you to rip him a new one because I'll be ripping him too. What do you mean he doesn't have anything to prove? He got everything to prove. What did he do so great this year that makes you say he has nothing to prove? Not saying he didn't have a good season. I'm just saying nothing to prove. He's got a lot to prove. A lot to prove to be that he's a quality NBA talent.
He's got to prove he can do what he did for 1/3 of the season for a full season.
Right. And it was a starting season. I'm not, because is he going to be able to play the 2 guard at the next level? I think he's a point guard at the next level. I'm not sure he can play 2. So therefore, he's got to at least show that arsenal more consistently this season. I'm going to say this season because I think he's coming back. He's going to have to show that more consistently this season than he showed last.
Like I said, I felt more of a lean of him coming back simply because it was. I think he thinks he does have more to prove. I think that he probably suspects that he doesn't have a very high stock with the NBA right now. And now that we got a backcourt, we've got shooting guards, and we got a point guard, and he's a point guard. We've got pieces that Cal can exchange and work in and out if there's foul trouble, if there's an injury, whatever. He's got a lot of combinations that he can try, and there's a lot of opportunities for Mintz to show versatility.
And that's the great thing about it. We could go this year into a 3-card system, big time. I mean, to me, with my basketball acumen, wouldn't it be great to have Keon Brooks as a stretch 4? Can you imagine that? That would be the reason why I would come back. But if I'm Keon, I would need to know if that's my role. But if Mintz come back, you can start Ty. You can start. Who will you start there? You will start 2 guards in Mintz, 2 point guards in Mintz, or will you start? Or would you bring Ty off the bench and then have Willa start?
See, now that just, I don't even get into that till usually about July or so when I've had a chance to kind of study them a little bit more, because there's too many options there. I guess I need to see them in a blue-white game. I need to see them in a couple of exhibition games and see who's moving without the ball better, who is looking pass first and shoot second. I want to see how that's playing out before I commit to it. You know, that's kind of like how come Cal doesn't always announce the starting 5. He actually watches the guys practice. I know that's really it's an unpopular thing with the fan base because they know exactly who should play at all times without ever having seen 1 minute of practice. They don't know what's going on in the locker room. We know what's going on in the locker room. We got all the good people in the locker room. But their locker room. And those things make a difference as to who gets time on the court. And if you're not there with the program and watching the practice and seeing what's happening off court, you're in no position to say who's supposed to be playing.
I tell the kids who ask me about college all the time, I'm like, if you are a gamer, you better be the coach's favorite. Because if you don't show it in practice, the coaches cannot trust you. They cannot trust you. This is not high school where a coach can coach for 40 years at the same high school. This is a job where he's feeding his family's based on winning losses. A lot of high schools, it's not based on winning losses. So therefore, if you can't show it in practice, he's not going to play you. I don't care. You can be the best player ever. You better show it in practice. You should give me something in practice. And fans don't get that. It's hard because your first game plan, like in football, the opposing team has no film on you. So you might go off for 30. But once people get film on you, it's going to get a little tougher.
Yeah, we know what your tendencies are. We know if you like to break left, if you like to curl to the right. We know those things. And the other thing about, besides just getting your coach's attention, you will do in a game. You don't need to be thinking about what you got to do. You need to have muscle memory. You get muscle memory by practicing the way that you would play in a game.
Right.
Then it's not thinking, it is reacting. Big difference.
Exactly. What is your feeling on losing Kenny Payne? How much did that affect this season? And now getting the big O and Chin, did that have was that more of a reason why we had more success in the transfer portal, or was that just Cal's cachet and this was just a bad season and kids still want to play for him?
Well, Cal had already picked up some in the transfer portal before there was ever any O and Chin coming back.
That's true.
They had already worked on Ty long before O and Chin came, although there's that little group of fans, the ones that we've talked about, the ones that know everything. So Ty makes his announcement like, Coach O getting the work done already. Coach O hadn't even got his, house key yet. He hadn't even got his suitcase out of the car. What do you mean got the work done? I find that so insulting to the rest of the staff because they put in all the legwork. They did all that. And to just dismiss them outright irritates me to no end. Now, Kenny Payne leaving, I think that hurt our post game last year tremendously.
Is Saar a real post player though?
I think Kenny Payne could have developed him into something better than he was.
I'll agree with that. I agree with that.
And and bless his heart, he tried. It wasn't like lack of effort. It wasn't that he wasn't working hard, but that was not his skill set. And Kenny has shown over the years he can take somebody without that skill set, and all of a sudden they're a freaking rebound machine. So we did miss that aspect. I think Cal, whether admit it or not, I think he missed. Kenny was the good one when Cal just didn't want to have to deal with something. KP, take the press conference today.
Good cop, bad cop. Gotcha.
And KP, and to his credit, the media preferred KP taking the press conferences over Cal because with KP, you actually, he would answer your questions. and I love Cal, but man, you ask him a question like, why are you playing this particular combination when you've got when you're facing a team that's this big? And Cal will say, well, we take the garbage out on Tuesday nights, and I found out that if I, walk down there, the dogs might run in front of me, or maybe they run back ahead of me. And besides that, Ellen was making brownies for somebody's birthday. And anyhow, next question. That's like, you don't know what you're going to get. He'll answer, but maybe not your question.
So you're saying he's a Nick Saban? I mean, not the Nick Saban, the Belichick of college basketball.
He can be. He absolutely can be at times, and again, most of the time, like I said, when things are going decent, he's very cooperative, and he was cooperative for the early part of the season last year, but it's like, I'm trying. I don't know how to. I can't fix this team. I've tried this. I've tried that. I've tried all these other things. It's not working. And let's look at it. It'd been 100 years since we had a season like that. 100 freaking years. Aren't we due one mulligan? I mean,
no, because because Cal makes all this money and he thinks he knows it all and he doesn't listen to the fans when we tell him to play Dante Allen. So no, he doesn't get a reprieve. No.
Exactly. I mean, it blows my mind because it's like, you look at his record since he's been here. How many Final Fours? How many Sweet 16s? How many Elite Eights? Oh, yeah, but he only got one title. Let me show you a whole bucket full of elite coaches that have 0 titles. Oh, you want to do it like Virginia? That's right. You wait for 12 years, build it up, and you get to Final Four, you lose. Get title, get lose. And then we'll see you again about 10, 12 years. And then Terry Brown, I love this. He calls Illinois the cicada program. They have a team every 16 years. They come out, make a little noise, but they disappear. So they think that because we had a bad year last year and we were the overall number 1 seed. Yeah. And I'm sorry, were you in the Elite Eight? Were you in the Final Four? Did you win the title?
Whoa. Did they even get to the second round?
Yeah. I think they did.
Did they go to the second round? Did they lose the first game? For some reason, I thought they lost the first game.
They got to the second round, I know, because I had picked them to lose in the first round.
Okay.
But they didn't. And I was a little bit bummed.
Okay, yeah. And shh.
But Cal is looking to Illinois how to learn how to coach because Cal has lost its touch.
I can't talk too much about Illinois because my wife is Illinois, a grad, and she was a cheerleader there. So I gotta keep that. We can only hate on Illinois.
We'll just call them the cicadas. You'll never know. You'll never know. You got code, man. You gotta have code speak there.
I like that. So with the cicadas, we're gonna go up. I can't remember that highway to Iowa. So CJ Frederick, how does that affect the fan favorite Dante Allen? Because they two fellow Kentuckians are fans since you are on the street more than I am. Are they going to be okay with Frederick leapfrogging Dante this year?
Well, because he's from Kentucky, it'll be whoever is making a shot that week is who should play. And I mean, I think I mentioned this. Oh, we did a Twitter Spaces the other night. Now, have you done Twitter Spaces yet?
I've heard about it. I'm gonna have to because I heard TB does it on Tuesday night, so I'm gonna have to join one night.
Yeah, about 10:30. I think this coming week everybody's going to get the UK LSU game from 1994, 31-point comeback. We're all going to have that queued up on YouTube, and we're going to watch it while we talk about it with each other. So it's just like audio Twitter.
Oh.
And we had like the first time I got in one, there was like 5 people, and then there was 12, and then there were like 16 or 17 of us. Although only 10 people have an ability to be able to speak, and the people that speak a lot were labeled as speakers. But if you shut up for a while, I guess they make you a listener. But anyway, it's a really cool thing. But we talked about this the other night, and I said to try to please the UK fans. It's a moving goalpost. They didn't want Cal. Don't go after the one and dones. Well, but he got the one and dones. I said, no, we need 3 and 4 year players. Well, last year our team, we had several of the 3 to 4 year players. Well, how come you didn't get more one and dones? So, I said to make them happy, it's easier to nail Jell-O to a tree. I mean, if you think about that concept, you can't. They'll be flaky. I think there's going to be Dante's going to have his he's going to have his like really, really, really solid group. Frederick's going to have a nice solid contingent. And then it'll be, like I said, whichever one has had a good game, then that's the one everybody's going to be screaming for. And I was like, just let them play, man. Let them work hard. That's one thing I like about Dante. He's working hard. He's trying to do things better, and the other guys I'll get to know. I want Dante to have a heck of a year. I want him to kick ass this year. But I'm also realistic enough to know, unless he really, really, really commits to defense, he will just be a recurring character.
Right. I don't know. I like the kid. I really do. No doubt about it. I definitely like the kid because I think people need to understand he messed his knee up and then he got in an accident, right? So he had all these injuries. And it takes time to recover from all that trauma. All that body trauma, man, is no joke. I tell people this all the time. I was fortunate enough to play a lot of football, and I've never been cut on, ever. I'm like one of the few to play as long as I play and not be cut on. People don't understand that trauma, that once that knife penetrates that skin, it is no joke. So the other thing is people heal differently. So don't say just because person A came back from whatever quickly doesn't mean person B is going to do the same. And it doesn't mean he or she is not working hard. So it's just
there's a third element to that too. The third element is the mental recovery. And I always tell Jay about this, and it's not a really good comparison, but it's what I got. I play golf. I used to play softball, but I ended up having 3 operations on one knee. So softball was ruled out. Can't play softball anymore. Yeah. So I take up golf. Well, I thought that was the dumbest sport in the world. And of course, 10 years later, I took up golf. And in a tournament one weekend, my second shot on the first hole, I had a really bad stance, had one foot down in the hole, but man, I had to miss a tree and not go in the water. It was like a shot that I could never make. And it was one of the best golf shots I hit in my life. Well, it sounded like I hit the tree because I heard the pop. But then I look and my ball's like 2 inches from the green, and I'm like, all right, I'm at par 5, and I can actually putt from where I am for eagle. And I realized I'm sitting down in the grass, and I'm like, well, that's embarrassing. I fell down when I took the shot.
Wow.
I told the girls in my cart, I said, don't tell anybody I fell down. I jumped up. When I jumped up, my knee buckled.
Oh.
And the pain hadn't set in yet. And I just looked at her and I said, did I hit that tree? And she said, no. I said, so that wasn't the pop sound I heard. And I looked down, and my knee was already swelling. I finished that round of golf. I shot 105, but I finished it.
What?
Because I was certain I had torn my ACL, and if that was the case, I wasn't going to play golf the rest of the year. So I thought I'll at least get this round in. And I actually played the next day, shot an 85 with it on my knee.
You played the next day on a bum knee?
Oh, yeah. It wasn't. I'm not saying that I'm really good with decisions. Okay. But anyway, it turned out I did not tear my ACL, but I tore my medial, my lateral, and all 3 meniscus. Tore 3 of them in one golf shot.
So that had to not be your plant leg. That had to be your back leg on your swing, because there's no way you could put that stress on that front leg on your swing. There's no way.
It was on my plant leg. It was. I learned how to chip off my back foot. I figured that out in 24 hours. Like I said, it wasn't. I am not going to say I make brilliant decisions all the time, but I was going to finish that golf tournament, and I did.
Hold on. Did you have a brace on?
Oh, the second day, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Definitely a brace.
Okay.
A brace, and I had a cooler with 2 or 3 ice packs so I could switch those off, and I was icing in between shots.
You are a beast, then. I'm not. I don't know if I could have done that. Well, no. I'm gonna change that. I know I couldn't have done that.
Well, for football, no, man. There's no. If it had been football or softball, it never would have happened.
No, I'm talking about golf. About golf. No. I wouldn't have been able to play the next day.
Well, like I said, I wasn't bright, but I did it. But anyhow, so eventually I had my surgery. And when I came back, I had this mental thing about I was afraid to take. I had, like I said, the little swing I had manufactured to get around the knee injury. I used that for several rounds that summer till I got to my surgery. But after I'm like, you're healed, you can do whatever you want. And I didn't want to do a regular swing because it's like I didn't do anything wrong the last time. And I busted my knee up 3 different ways. So mentally, it took me like 4 or 5 rounds and just maybe a shot here, a shot there, before I felt like I wasn't going to injure myself again. So that's what I think about, especially with basketball injuries. You do something, you come back, you can't tell me it is not in the back of your head. If I plant my foot wrong, I'm going to be right back in rehab again and off the court. It has to play some role for some players.
It has to. See, that's like I said, that's one thing, and I've seen guys do it. I've been fortunate enough in my career. I knock on wood every time that I have not had to do that. I think the worst injury I had, honestly, was in high school. I had a high ankle sprain. I think that's the worst injury I had, and that was a beast. Painful. Yeah, that was a beast. But other than that, and besides the concussions, but I didn't feel those. I was out.
Yeah, well, I can see that you just about forgot them too. I can't imagine.
Right. Yeah, what was that?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with my memory. Oh yeah, concussions. Yeah. Yeah, but it like I think that is what happened with Alex Poitras when he came back. I think he was afraid to really go for it on his knee after he after torn an ACL.
It's tough. I can only imagine.
So I just like I said. So that's just another thing. Everybody deals with the mental part of that differently. Like if they've had injuries in the past, or how hard their rehab was, or how long the rehab was. That's the last thing you want to do. Like, man, I can't wait till they release me to play, and they release you to play, and you're like, oh, but crap, what if I get hurt again? I'm going to be right back in that same mess. And PT and rehab, that's not a fun place to be.
Nope. And people have more scar tissue than others, so it matters. Since we're on this golf thing,
I know how to avoid the scar tissue. I don't recommend it for everybody. It was kind of I was in a unique situation, but 48 hours after surgery, we had a kind of a family emergency, and I had to rush to my daughter, and I left my crutches in my car because, I was just going to run to her, and she was in an upstairs apartment. And that particular day, I think I made about 20 trips up and down to her apartment. And that night I felt it because my knee was like, you just had surgery, hag. Like, what are you doing? But I did what I had to do because this is my daughter's father had died. And so, you do what you got to do. Yeah. And so I'm it. And I did it. And I went back to the doctor in 2 weeks, and he went, well, I was going to start you on PT, but he said, I've never seen anybody have zero scar tissue.
Wow.
Oh, well, I guess running those steps must have done that.
Wow.
I laugh about it now, but he said that was exactly because he said most people will be a little bit reluctant. They tell you can be weight bearing in 48 hours, and most people still hurts, better use my crutch. If they tell you it's safe, do it.
Wow. So I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit.
Good.
Since we talking about this golf thing, I have two things on my mind that once you hit it, it came to me. First, what's your thoughts of 50-year-old lefty winning the PGA championships this past weekend?
Well, of course, when I was 50 is, so what? The fact that it was Phil, okay, so he didn't choke this time. He's going to choke 50% of the time. This was the time he didn't choke. I'm the unpopular opinion. I don't like Phil Mickelson.
Oh, you're not unpopular. Me neither.
I volunteered at the PGA tournament at Valhalla back in 2014, and so I was there on the grounds, behind the ropes, or in front of the ropes. Sorry, not behind them. In front of the ropes for 4 different days, and walked around during a practice round as a spectator. And that was the tournament. Tiger had been injured, and they didn't know if he was going to play.
Right.
And so you got right down to the day of the big practice round on Wednesday. If Tiger's going to play, he's got to show up today. And so they've got the reserved parking places for the previous champions. that are right up there, near the clubhouse. And you see the one reserved for Tiger Woods, reserved for Phil Mickelson, reserved for whoever. Phil pulls up, and a few reporters are standing around there. So they talk to Phil, and he's just and talking. Well, then there's a noticeable buzz. You hear it from 300 yards away, and that's the people that see Tiger driving up. The reporters stop talking to Phil. So they all rush to Tiger's parking place and wait for him. And every one of them left Phil, and he's just standing there, just pissed to the max. This man is angry because, and I was thinking, like, dude, Tiger would give anything if the reporters would stay with you and he could actually get to the driving range in peace and focus. But no, he's going to have to answer about 20 questions while he's trying to come back from an injury. But Phil's all ticked off about it. After the practice round was over, we're talking many hours later, Phil was a couple of groups in front of Tiger, and he comes off the course, and there was this little kid there, Mr. Mickelson, can you please sign my poster? And he like barely looks at the kid. I'm busy, and just stomps off. And I'm thinking, man, you have got somebody snowed in the public, because Phil the man. Phil's so wonderful, and Phil's so good with the fans, and good with, and Tiger's a rude SOB. Tiger comes off the course, and I watched him for 42 minutes sign autographs and talk to kids. He didn't sign autographs for adults, and I had no problem with that. Every kid that came up to him, every kid.
There you go. See, now we really gonna get off the rest. See, this is what people don't understand, right? I'll never forget this. My rookie year of the Bears, and we had a guy who's now married to Layla Ali, Curtis Conway, and we had Eric Kramer, who was a good quarterback. He came from the Lions, and he played for us, I think, a couple years, all right? So I was the one, like, I'm in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. Whoever, I don't care who it was, someone asked me to autograph. I'm like, hell yeah, like, of course. So I got in good with Curtis and with EK, Eric Kramer. And I asked them both on separate cases. I'm like, Curtis. And Curtis really helped me up to it. Like, CC, why don't you sign all the autographs? And he pulled me aside. This is the funny. So we was in Platteville, Wisconsin. He pulled me aside as we walked on the field. He said, hold on, just wait here. He said, look over there. Look at all those adults. They have a big old binder of cards. And they give the cards to the kids. So they have the kids bring the cards up to you. And he's like, why would I sign this for the adults so he can go sell my autograph? It's not just a kid who, like we were playing, or when we were kids, take the autograph and just hang it on your wall or put it on your desk or whatever. No, they're trying to make money. Those guys I don't sign for. Now, if a kid comes with a piece of paper or something like I know that it's not a mint card, I would probably sign that.
What's it? These kids had the little posters that they gave out at the entry to the tournament.
Right.
So they had little so they got that, and some of them had towels. A few of them had golf balls, but it was the kids. Tiger didn't pay a bit of attention to the adults, but the kids come up and he would talk to them, look them in the eye, and they would say something. And so he had that, you can probably tell, like, Daddy told me to do this. These were kids that this is Tiger, man. This, they know who Tiger is. Graham McDowell was another one. While he was walking up one of the fairways, there was this one kid. I mean, he had been walking, following his whole round. And there was like a moment of quiet, and Graham's getting ready to hit a shot. And this little kid, he couldn't have been more than 7, 8 years old. He goes, Graham, you're my favorite. I love you. And Graham just he looked over there and he smiled. And then after he hit his shot, he told his dad, he held it and said, hey, will you let your kid walk the hole with me? And so he brought the kid in and walked the rest of the hole with that little 7-year-old, talking to him the whole time and let him hit shots. This is practice round. So he was letting him hit shots out of the bunker with him. And that kid, man, he was he was just like over the moon. And when they got past, it was on the third hole, because I remember he was coming to the fourth tee. But he did for most of the third hole, and then the kid went back to his father, and he told his dad, I told you I love Graham. I told you. Like, the impact that that's going to make on that little boy. And that day, the Tigers sat there for 35, 40 minutes, signing things, stooping down to make eye contact with the kids. I'm like, don't tell me what a jackass he is, because he's with the adults. Why wouldn't he be? The adults have been jackasses to him.
Some of these people now we're getting out. Some people do it for clout. And this is what I tell people this all the time. Some athletes know where the camera is. Some of them know where the camera is at all times. So it's the same thing that happened to Phil recently. I think it was at the PGA Championship where the practice round and the kid was standing there and Phil asked the kid, should I go for the green? And the kid said, if I can hit a 3-wood 260, I would go for it, and you can caddy for me all the time. If you don't think Phil saw that camera, you are fooling yourself. It's like these people on Twitter that they do stuff for Twitter so they can get followers. They say stuff controversial so they can get followers. And Phil, to me, I don't know him, so I kind of hesitate with saying this, but Phil definitely knows he's a media darling, and he has lived this up, and he plays it to the utmost. Phil is not the most liked player on the tour, so that tells you one thing.
And on Twitter, I am who I am, and that's all that I am, and I stated an opinion about something, and there was an unpopular opinion I had last summer. I had no problem with our players going to a Black Lives Matter march. Didn't have a problem with that whatsoever. And I was like, I'm glad they stand for something. You don't stand for something, you fall for anything, as they say. I was glad to see the coaches supporting them, because that's also important. You don't have to agree with their views, but by gosh, you better support to your dying breath their right to have their own views. And I said I thought it was a good thing. I lost 47 followers in an hour. And I'm glad. I'm proud of it. Because if the people that didn't understand the reason, that don't get what Black Lives Matter means, I don't need to be around them.
That's true.
So that's my take on that.
That's true. So,
I've got a question. I know you're the host of this, and this is like changing gears, but I'm going to kind of go to a football sort of related thing. I have unpopular opinion A and unpopular opinion B, but they're kind of together.
Hit me with it.
I had no problem with them changing the name from Commonwealth Stadium to Kroger Field. I get it. There's money. You wanted the renovations. You wanted the facilities that bring the top talent in. You want a better game day experience for the fan. The way you get that, you get big time corporate sponsorship. We knew when that money came in, it said they get naming rights to the stadium. They chose Kroger, putting advertising, whatever. And there's people that, we had such a fine tradition with Commonwealth Stadium, and Kroger Field's too generic. Number one, Commonwealth Stadium is a pretty generic name if you ask me. Kentucky's not the only Commonwealth in the nation. Just would like to point that out. If you think they are, Virginia, Pennsylvania, they'd like to have a word with you. And what's the fine tradition? Snatching defeat out of the jaws of victory in how many games? I mean, that was the tradition at Commonwealth Stadium. Lots of losing. And unpopular opinion B, which kind of piggybacks on, is that damn Power K. If I have to hear Power K,
don't do that to me.
Thinking time. If you call it the straight K, I'm fine with it. But Power K, what power did we have with that K? The power to lose games left and right, hand over fist, games that we were leading, games that we threw away. We lost, and we lost, and we lost more and more. Since we got the quote-unquote crooked K, we've been winning a lot. So, there you go.
You're right. I'm partial a little bit to the K. Like you said, I want to call it power K. But here's the deal, right? It's not like that K is like the best design, the best. It's like the A. It's like it's the most simplistic logo ever. Now, if you like simplicity, fine. But that people don't like change, and I don't get it because who really cares what that logo looks like? Who really cares if you have checkerboard on your pants if you're winning? Look, if we went back to the old school 80s pants where they're all up your crotch and we were winning games, I don't care. Let's stick with people want to complain about everything. You know what's even worse though? Worse than that is people complain about the court design. It's like, are we serious? The court design? We're really on that level where we are at arms. Not, there's a difference between a critique and
and stupidity.
It looks a little off. Like you have that much time in your day to do that.
Well, see, what they didn't understand, even though it was explained, and I know this because I watched it be explained to this one person at least 11 times, and he would start a conversation with the 12th person to again make the same complaints, even though it had already been explained. They had to cover up the old logo, and they had to put the Central Bank Center on the court because of the naming stuff. But they didn't have time to redo the whole court. So it was a little off. It was not quite symmetrical. It did not look pretty. But that's what they could do in the amount of time they had to do it. They will get a whole court. But there's this one guy on Twitter, 75 to Rupp or something, I think. And he's forever doing these Photoshop things and what he thinks the court design should be. And he'll put a picture out of 4 or 5 of them. And oh, yeah, let's make them do this. Let's make them do that. I don't care if you put out the greatest design in the history of all court designs. If you think sending that on Twitter is going to make University of Kentucky change the design of the court, aren't you entitled? Is your name Karen?
It is bad because I am in the design field. I'm an engineer designer. So it's like, you don't understand, even if you don't like it, it goes through a lot of red tape to be able to even get that design out. There's a lot of people who have to check that off. If you don't like it, well, some people do like it though. Because whoever signed off on it liked it. Whoever's in the executive board or the decision makers, they like, yes, we like it. So now you might not, you probably don't like the freaking chrome helmet. But you know who likes it? These 18 to 17-year-old, 19-year-old kids who come into your college. So you might not like it, but the kids like it. It's not all about you.
Yeah, and like the early 2000s, mid 2000s to 20s, when the basketball shorts were coming down almost to the ankles, I was like, call them culottes and be done with it. Don't tell me they're shorts because they're not short. Yeah, and now they're working their way back up to, I think it's the perfect compromise length right now. It's not the big baggy things, but it's also, as Bill Kitely called them, they're not cooch cutters.
Right.
That's what Bill Kitely, I got to do an interview with him once years ago. That was like the coolest experience ever. But the fact that he used the term cooch cutters with the female sitting there, I was like, all righty then.
Wow.
Never would have called him that, but okay. But again, I got more important things in my life than to worry about if there is a checkerboard on the side of his short. I was not a fan of the denim uniforms. I thought they looked kind of stupid.
The Converse ones?
Because they weren't Kentucky blue. I kind of wanted to be Kentucky blue. They looked dull. But you know what? We were winning every game. So, like, what do I care? And I even said that if we're going to win the national championship, let's wear denim every year.
Right. What was the other ones that had the crazy, like the scratch?
Oh, there was the zigzag.
Yes, the zigzag. Yeah.
Those were my least favorites, and my ex-husband bought me that the warm-up suit of all times, of all years, to buy me the UK warm-up suit. He did it the year of the zigzags. But I keep that in my closet to remind me there's always something worse than a checkerboard. Although I like the checkerboards. Checkerboards are fine.
It's Tennessee. Michelle, it's Tennessee. We can't do what Tennessee does.
Even though on Alumni Field they had checkerboards before Tennessee ever had them.
Ding, ding, ding. And I know
UK
that
history.
And I know that because a friend of the family attended UK in the 60s, 70s?
Stone Age.
Yes. So they knew. They was like the area across from Memorial Fields where they used to play.
Exactly.
So it's like maybe Tennessee stole it from us.
Well, I think they probably did. I mean, my dad was a UK graduate. He graduated in 1955. So, you know, he would tell me, well, I might get upset. Of course, he passed away before we got the checkerboards, but he said, how come more people aren't upset with Tennessee stealing our checkerboards? They were our checkerboards. Well, I don't have checkerboards anymore because Tennessee stole them. We'll come up with something else original.
There you go.
My first game I attended at Commonwealth Stadium was when there was no end zone seats.
Yes.
Sides.
Yes.
So that tells you how old I am.
Well, when I got there, they had end zone seats, but they were bleachers.
Like bleachers.
Yes. So that says how long. And now it's a freaking bowl. So that's how old I am.
And now it's freaking both blue seats almost the entire. I mean, that they've done that stadium up nice. It's come a long way, baby. I
was pissed when I came back and they had the nice, I don't want to call it Jumbotron, but they had the nice Jumbotron, I must call it Jumbotron, for the Tim Couch years. And we had the freaking old school analog, the bulbs, if one went out, you couldn't see, like, come on, man. Now that 2 years later, they got all this fancy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, now the fancy stuff, like that stuff is like, trash that, man. Let's get some that actually work all the time.
Well, now look, now we getting close to closing time. I'm gonna say this. Now what's bad is these mama jammers don't even dress in Kroger Commonwealth Field. They dress in their own freaking locker room and walk across the field. Get out of here. Really?
Well, the catwalk is kind of cool.
Well, the catwalk is different now.
Yeah, but they get the catwalk, and then so many people will come back and congregate again as the players come back from the
locker room.
But thank you. I'm just sitting there going like I know the name of the freaking center. Boy, talk about going.
It used to be called Nutter. Nutter's the field house.
Yeah, well, it's not Nutter anymore. Yeah,
I don't know what the locker room is called.
I knew, and now I feel like a total idiot. I mean, I wrote stories about it, and I'm just like, when you go blank, you go blank. It just happens.
And you haven't had concussions.
Well, I have had concussions, just not on the football field.
Oh, okay.
I've had self-inflicted. Well, that sounds stupid.
No.
I had a period of time. My father left me his 1985 El Camino when he passed away.
Nice.
Muscle car, man.
Oh,
Muscle
I love
car.
it.
I drove that thing several years. Made of steel, old-fashioned way, man. You know, I hit a 5 point. I shouldn't say I hit a 5-point buck. A 5-point buck jumped in the road in front of me on my way home, and I had nowhere to go. And I hit him, and the only thing it did was spin my hood ornament around.
Wow.
Yeah. But I had a thing. I went through a period of time for 2 months when I'd be getting in the car or getting out. I would forget to duck my head. And about the third time, I mean, I just talking to somebody, getting in my car, and turned around and smacked the heck out of my head on the door frame. And on any other car, it would, it might hurt for a minute. You do that on 85 El Camino, man, it was the birds, the vision going, and I was like, I'm not going anywhere now. I went back home, and I know I had a concussion a few years before. I know what a concussion feels like. These were mild.
Right.
I can't imagine the stuff in football. Ooh. Ooh.
So the facilities are called Joe Kraft.
Thank you.
So
No, that's basketball.
No, they said football.
Well, they did call it
Joe Kraft football.
I thought it had another name.
I don't know. I just saw that.
Maybe it just didn't have another name. I know that Joe Kraft got his name put on because he made a substantial donation.
Well, I made a donation. I made $10. That doesn't get my name on it.
Substantial.
That's substantial for me.
Not Sub-Zero.
Finish him.
Oh, my last point at Commonwealth Stadium. For all the people out there that insist that it's still Commonwealth Stadium to me. Okay, you're an idiot. Secondly, if you're going to abbreviate it on Twitter, it's not CWS. Commonwealth is one word. It would be CS. The CWS thing irritated me. Like when somebody does a hashtag for happy birthday, HBD. No, birthday is one word. Don't hashtag HBD me.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any opinions, Van. I should have told you that I'm real shy about sharing my opinions.
I already knew that. That's why I love it when you came on last minute. It makes my job easier. Commonwealth Stadium. This is the part that bothers me with this, right? It's the same thing. I don't know if you've been involved with your high school changing name. I'm just saying the last one that happened here was Lee High School, and they wanted to. It was named after Robert. It used to be Robert E. Lee High School. Then they made it Lee High School. Then people finally said, okay, we got to change that. All right. So now they call it Liberty High School. All the old alums are up in arms because it's not Lee High School. It's still Lee High School to you. You can still have your reunion and celebrate you attended Robert E. Lee High School. But now these kids now will be Liberty High School. It doesn't affect your tradition. It doesn't affect. It's still the same school. It's in the same area. They have torn the old school down, but it's still in the same area. You still have your memories. You can still go on campus, but it's Liberty High School now. Still have your celebrations at your 20, 30, 40, whatever reunion and name it Lee. But now, why are you up in arms and wasting your time and energy and wasting your mental stability complaining about a freaking school change? It makes no sense to me.
Exactly. And as I said, it's always going to be Commonwealth. Well, you know what? It wouldn't be that big of a deal. Just the only thing you're doing is upsetting yourself.
Exactly.
For something you cannot change. You cannot make. The lettering that says Commonwealth Stadium is not going to pop back up. It ain't going to happen. And you can sit there all you want. The people that have never been here before going, what's Commonwealth Stadium?
Right.
The only one who looks bad in this situation is you.
I'm going to say this.
Bring yourself to call up Kroger Field, say, we're going to the football stadium.
Right.
Lexington, everybody knows who it is.
I will say this. If the stadium still looked like when you went there and there was no end zone seats, then it could still be called Commonwealth Stadium. You are the reason why you have the amenities that you have now and the viewing pleasure and the nice concessions, because the concessions were crap when I was there.
Oh man.
Everything there is much better. You have that little deck there that you can bring your friend. You have a lot of things. You know why that is? It's because it's Kroger Field now. That's why you get all that.
Why are we getting all these recruits in? Why? When they come in, they want to watch a game. They got that whole patio.
Oh, that's nice too.
And that's how you want to treat your recruits. They should get a quality game day experience. They should see a multi-million-dollar facility where you put your dirty clothes in a little locker and you come in the next day and put your key in and your clean laundry comes out and you didn't have to do anything.
Right.
They should have a 55-foot chill pool. So you walk right off the practice field right into the 55 temp degree water.
Right. Which pisses me off too.
Well, we won't talk about the barbershop because
don't talk about
use
that.
It that often. Yeah.
Well, Michelle, it's been great. I appreciate you. Tell all the people how they can reach you on Twitter, because Louis asked how you can get your Twitter handle. Give them your Twitter handle, your show with Big J Hayes. Don't give his information because he doesn't need it. He'll need more followers because
he's wrong.
Yeah, he's wrong all the time.
I got 4 times the followers he does anyway. But anyway, that's what happens if you're right.
Right.
I am at Forever Big Blue. That's FOREVERBIGBLUE. I had to think about that. Michelle Goffs a lot on Instagram, although I don't post on Instagram very often. And you can hear us each week on Rockin' KY Blue. That's podcast. That is at ROCKINKY Blue. All together, no spaces, nothing special. You find Rockin' KY Blue also. We got a Facebook page, got Instagram. And you can find our podcast, Apple, Google, Anchor, Spotify. Anywhere you get a podcast, we're there. I promise you. Search any of them. We're all there. And that's how you find us.
Again, when you guys broadcast, when you guys post it?
We typically record now because Jay got moved back second shift. We record 10 o'clock on Monday mornings. He generally gets the show up by within 24 hours. So when he's bored at home, yes, we usually get it on Tuesdays, unless he comes up with an excuse and he did this, or sometimes he messes up his audio and has to start over, whatever.
Well, guys, it's worth a listen. Follow him on Twitter so you can get the information. And again, Michelle, I appreciate you jumping on it with 5 minutes notice. And then this is better. Shh, don't say this. This was better than with Ant. We better than with Ant. I'm just saying.
I won't tell you that. Okay. Just between you and me and whoever happened to drop in while we were doing this.
Thanks, Michelle. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Van. Been great.
You have a good night.
You too.
Okay.